I may be very overdue on making a video about this, but I really didn't want to let the year roll by without celebrating a change that I personally consider one of the best ever. Hello, I am Blaze, and welcome back to Warframe. Wyrm Prime has been my main companion of choice for years now, between its gorgeous looks and crowd dispersion being my Sentinel precept of choice for watching my back. Unfortunately, in the past it was also hampered by the rather perplexing choice of having its base health value halved compared to the standard Wyrm, and pretty much every other Sentinel in the game. It made sense at the time, but ended up being overlooked long after the side grade mentality had fallen out of favour, and prompted me to make a video last year that could be described as something of a salt mine. But those problems are a thing of the past, because this happened.
A point of acceptance in the relationship of Cat and Snuggles, but really you come out on top if you get Cat and Snuggles on the regular, which, you know. I was one of the original Banshee lovers for show. But what is the Earthworm, and you know what you have to do now? I'm so curious.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, my favorite Sentinel for years, ever since I got it, has been Wyrm Prime, because...
I've seen your video, I know what you're gonna ask me.
So you have seen that Salt Galaxy.
Okay, well, I could have a real-time development for you on this.
Change is happening.
No promises.
Very impressive.
Well, I have great news for you. I am going into the game client information, and I've just been given a thumbs up to make that change for you. Are you ready? I am about to, you know what, I'll do this screenshot in a second, but your Wyrm Prime health is about to be a beautiful thing.
Yes, I am a happy boy.
I just need to compare it with something real quick.
And sure enough, update 21.6 came around at the end of August, and the change went through. So color me extremely happy. Digital Extremes are a truly exceptional studio. Anyone paying attention would likely know this already, but even months later I'm still blown away and so thankful to Rebecca for the change, and for Scott for the go-ahead. It was essentially a personal favour to me from Rebecca, which is absolutely amazing, and it's incredible that there exists a team of developers that listen to and interact with players so closely. Not to mention Shy herself, who has actually been having me as a host on her streams regularly and gave me the go-ahead to bring it up to Rebecca while she was a special guest. It kind of felt like the stars had aligned. But enough gushing, at least for now. The most significant change was giving it a base health value of 225. This places Wyrm Prime as the second toughest Sentinel in the game between that and its 150 base armor, going up to 720 health and 315 armor after mods. This now results in an effective health pool of 1,476, which is quite respectable. Combined with its base 300 shields, going up to 1,125 after the calculated redirection mod, this means that most enemies have to work through a fair bit of toughness to take it down now, at least outside of increasingly common toxin damage. For reference, Carrier Prime's effective health pool is 2,624 plus 375 shields, and Helios Prime has an effective health pool of 1,360 plus 375 shields, all of which are good choices in their own respects. A second, much more recent and possibly unintended change is to Wyrm Prime's crowd dispersion. Originally it was a knockdown, but about a month ago, around the same time as the infinite glaive bug was introduced I assume, it was changed to dramatically fling all nearby enemies across the map. It's absolutely hilarious and is quite a spectacle, but unfortunately this new and quote improved end quote crowd dispersion can also get extremely annoying. It is endlessly entertaining to have enemies go flying into far walls or off the tops of the hills of Idola, but it also gets in the way in a number of cases. Having enemies thrown all over the place can make shooting them even more difficult. They can end up getting thrown into unexpected locations, which can be problematic if you want to maintain situational awareness. And in missions on the plains, you can end up having to kill those enemies to finish a bounty stage when they're Lotus knows where, multiple hundreds of meters away, and possibly behind a myriad of terrain features. If it is an intended change that sticks around, then I'll get used to it eventually, maybe. But the older and simpler knockdown is a lot easier to deal with. Maybe this was them testing the waters for their originally proposed impact status proc changes, in which case I have to agree with other people's assessments and say that it would be extremely annoying and shouldn't be used. As for Wyrm Prime's other functions, they haven't changed since the last time I looked at my wonderful Noodle Dragon companion, so I will just go through them quite quickly for posterity. Warrior is Wyrm and Wyrm Prime's offensive precept and allows it to target enemies up to 30 meters away before the effective zoom mods are counted on the equipped weapon. Wyrm Prime's default weapon, the primed laser rifle, is passable, and the 3-round burst looks pretty cool. But my own preferred weapon of choice is the Prisma Burst Laser, which is bundled in with the Prisma Shade from Barrow-Katir, allowing a constant barrage of plasma bolts at enemies and throwing around plenty of status procs to keep them busy. The spreader weapons are some of the most powerful Sentinel weapons in the game, but are kind of wasted on anything other than the carriers due to their extreme spread. The Volklock and Stinger have niche applications, though I personally tend to avoid them. The Volklock is the most accurate Sentinel weapon by far, and has a high base damage, critical hit capacity, and status chance, but an absolutely glacial rate of fire. While the Stinger is largely mediocre, but carries with it guaranteed toxin status effects on hit, much like the Acrid secondary weapon, which can be useful. And most of the other Sentinel weapons are generally underwhelming, and I would give them a pass unless you just felt like messing around with them. I am much happier with Wyrm Prime now than I was last year. The only remaining major issue is that Wyrm Prime has been vaulted for some time now. Hopefully, this means that it is due to be unvaulted along with Loki Prime before too long. When it is unvaulted, I myself will probably try and get as many of its parts and relics as I can during its unvaulting period. Until then, keep an eye out for it because I'll be surprised if it isn't made available within the first half of 2018. If you're watching this video close to when it was uploaded, then I wish you a happy new year. Hopefully I won't end up spending most of 2018 either burned out or actively avoiding things like I did through 2017. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you around next time.